Hello again. This is a little different video. It's a quite simple video to show you just the environment that you will need to use in order to execute to complete several of the homework assignments of this class. And therefore, I have several tutorials on how to download a virtual machine software like VirtualBox and how to download different images of operating systems that we will use for homework assignments, but also feel free to use this for your project if you think that this is the proper way to complete your research project. So this is VirtualBox over here. I have this open and I have, as you can see, several images, and all of these images you will use in the class. First, the Kali Linux image. As I've mentioned, in the tutorials you will see how to install VirtualBox, super easy, and how to install those images. Again, very easy, but please follow the manual so that you have the proper results. So the Kali Linux virtual machine, this is the operating system distro for hackers and of course defenders, because the tools that are concentrated in this Linux operating system are just fantastic for the work that we need to do, which is penetration testing, finding weaknesses in systems, and also pointing these out and resolving them. Next, Windows XP. We always want to have a nice old version of Windows because vulnerabilities. So that's a very nice image to have, and I have instructions and an image for you to download. You will not need this image. It's for my personal experimentation because I do these things in my free time as well. You will need the Metasploitable image. This is an image that we will use in order to find operating system and software vulnerabilities. It's an already vulnerable image. It's a made-up image for you to experiment with, and then a couple more versions of Kali that I have used, and you will use Ubuntu as well. So pay a lot of attention, like I said, to the settings of your virtual machines. Follow religiously the instructions, follow the manual, don't improvise. In this case, I have very clear instructions on how to set up Kali Linux, else it's not going to work. If you get too happy with Kali Linux, you can also do a dual boot in your main operating system. I have seen some students, because it's a great operating system to have, but if you don't do a double installation, then follow the instructions very religiously in order to have the proper results. Let's fire up Kali Linux to see what it looks like. As you can see, I have saved the state. I did this on purpose so that you can see that if you're working on something, if you're already working on something, you will have this very wonderful option to save the state of the machine and not lose your settings. So this is pretty awesome. Actually, as you can see, the manual page that I had just looked at, I was looking at some debugging, trying to find some flaws in software and take advantage of them, printing some memory spots. We will learn all these things in this class, of course, but just for demonstration purposes, I wanted to have an extra a saved state. I'll just fire up a new terminal, and here's my virtual machine. There's only one, of course, but you will want to pen test one virtual machine against another one. So what you would like to do is fire up, let's say, Kali Linux and let's say another operating system, which is your Metasploitable. So let's fire up these two and see what they look like also, so that you know whether you did the right thing or not. So the Metasploitable has some differences. Of course, okay, in this class, it's a graduate class. I assume that you know how to navigate in command line. If you do not know how to do this, I have some basic tutorials. However, you are going to have to do this as self-learning. This is an undergraduate type of material, and I expect you to know how to navigate. So of course you can see now my Metasploitable has a very safe login and password, MSF admin. Don't do this at home. And here I am in my Metasploitable. Now, how do I get to ping between those two machines and have them communicating? I want my two virtual machines to talk to each other so that I can have one machine scanning the other machine for vulnerabilities, or one machine sending a virus to the other machine. And of course, as you can understand, this is wonderful because it's just a virtual environment that doesn't mess up my actual computer. So how do I do this? How do I get my machines to talk to each other? So I would like you to explore a little bit. I'm not going to give you the whole solution over here. I will eventually give in and give the solution. However, I would like you to explore, and for now, I will give you some breadcrumbs, some hints on how to do this. So obviously, you have probably taken some computer networking classes, so you know how to check your configuration and check your configuration, your network configuration. So your ETH0 is what you want to communicate with, the interface that you want to use to communicate between your two virtual machines. So you want and you don't even need sudo, which is super user do. You just need to give an IP address to your ETH0 that one machine will use and to ping the other machine. So the command will be sudo ifconfig and then some other options. Okay, so I'm not going to give you these options, but I'm going to say that this command is going to set an IP address to your ETH0. And so with sudo ifconfig and then the interface ETH0 and then some IP address. So let me do this just for demonstration purposes. Like I said, I'm going to give some hints, but not the whole solution. So sudo ifconfig ETH0 10.10.1, and now I want to confirm that I actually gave this IP to my ETH0 interface, and here we go, the ETH0. You can also set your net mask, and I expect you, because you have basic computer networking knowledge, to set the proper net mask for your proper subnetwork and all that. So now that I have an IP address, let me show my windows again, and I want to go to my Metasploitable window, which is this one. And what I want to do is ifconfig over here. Let me minimize my... And of course, this one doesn't have an IP address, but let's see. Can I talk to the 10? Nope. Network is unreachable. So this one needs an IP address as well. Pay a lot of attention. I just want to test your basic computer networks knowledge. Pay a lot of attention so that this virtual machine that I have over here, the Metasploitable, the exploitable virtual machine that my Kali Linux version over here is going to take advantage of, pay a lot of attention that the Metasploitable is in the same network as the Kali Linux. And then you're golden. You will have a nice little environment to execute the fourth homework, I believe, for this class. For the current class, your virtual machine will scan a Windows XP machine. I'm not going to fire up the Windows XP machine because it takes a little too much time to start up. But similarly, for the Windows XP machine, you will need to give to the Windows XP machine the proper IP address so that your Kali Linux can scan the Windows XP and find the exact operating system and vulnerabilities. This concludes this short demonstration of setting up the environment. Let's recap what we showed. I showed you the two virtual machines. The one virtual machine that you will use, it's your gold mine, is your Kali Linux. And I also demonstrated how it should look like, that you can save the machine state. It has a lot of tools, as I mentioned, to pen test and find weaknesses in other systems, but you also want to have some exploitable systems. Our exploitable systems will mainly be an old obsolete version of Windows, Windows XP, and the Metasploitable Linux operating system, which will be very exploitable as well. And you want your two virtual machines. They're both in the same computer running in your personal PC. However, they need to talk to each other, and they can't just talk to each other just as you fire them up. So you need to give these machines the proper IP address with the ifconfig command that I gave you over here, and do the proper network mask, add the machines, the two machines, the attacker machine, the Kali Linux, and the victim machine, the Metasploitable or the Linux XP, to the same network. And once you do that, you will have a system to complete most of the homework assignments. Some of the homework assignments, of course, you will use a real network, and you will access this through cloud infrastructure. So this is going to be in another demonstration, this other environment that is going to be much more realistic than just virtual machines. As always, please ask questions on the forum and on Slack, on the discussion forum and on Slack. And please do not hesitate to ask me any questions or anything that has been unclear. Make sure that this environment works within the first week of class, because you will not be able to complete your first homework assignment. So make sure you have Windows XP, Kali Linux, and Metasploitable. Act early so that you're not running at the last minute during the semester. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions and observations.